Welcome to Bitboard Crypto, the people's channel, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. And no channel works harder to keep you in the know. This is Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday at 5:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about your favorite topics with your favorite guests. This is maybe the best guest we've ever had. Today, we're going to be talking about AI language, Axie Infinity, and NFT mansions. But we're going to start on the top right. We got Crypto Factor holding down that top right, top section. I'm looking at that background. Almost looks like some JPEGs back there. Then on the bottom right, we have Rice with a little Anon mask on the left. Anon's been in the headlines. Is he in the collective? We don't know. He'll never tell us. Then on the bottom left, this is not fake. He's actually live from Ukraine. Who knew Around the Blockchain had like real news? Yeah, sometimes we got like even real news. This is our on the ground correspondent, Nicu. I'm just kidding, man. I don't mean to make light of this. And then on the top left, we have one of the top NFT masters in the whole entire globe. That's right. We're talking about Cryptostache. It's going to be a really good episode for him today. But before we get into those topics, let's get into the markets and kind of see where are things heading, what is going on with the crypto markets. It's looking a little bit positive lately. After the red days of the last 72 hours, Bitcoin's kind of turned things around. We're still holding on high. We're not quite at 40,000, but 38.7. Not complaining. Pushing close to 2,700. A lot better than 23, 22. Let's see what else we got here. XRP up 6%. Solana up just a couple percent. But Luna just going insane, up 14% here. Loving these numbers. Now, Crypto Factor, things have turned around. Are you starting to feel like this was maybe we were just oversold and it's a correction, or are things maybe starting to, look a little more bullish here?
Great question, DZ. First of all, I'm not going to see anything bullish until we close above the 40K level, the 40K psychological, preferably 41.5. But that's nothing changes for me until we close that level. That said, sell the news, buy the invasion. Every time, if you look at any invasion in history, almost every invasion, somebody could reference this, you'll see that whenever we've invaded, if America invaded somewhere or somebody's invaded into a war, stock markets generally go up. Now, why that happens, that may be for somebody else to explain, but generally that's what's been going on. I mean, it happened with Iraq. It's happened.
Crypto Factor. Let me pop in, because the difference here, and I'm not going to say that you're not correct, but the difference here is that a lot of these situations in the past, when you're talking about the price dipping and going back up when a war takes place, we haven't seen this take place at the same time that we've also had this economic turmoil, basically the end of our fiat cycle. So there's some extra added things that come into play here. Plus, we also have Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for the first time in a crisis like this.
So Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is considered a high risk stock. It's been following NASDAQ, and that's what it's doing. Now, that said, at the same time, you have all these sanctions going on. You have everything. Maybe people actually see the benefits and see how cryptocurrencies can be beneficial to them, both for Russia going around sanctions, but also for Ukraine accepting Bitcoin donations and people getting their money out. So I hear there's actually a premium on Tether right now in Ukraine. That maybe this can be verified by Nicu, but this is what I hear. So a lot of people are seeing the benefits. A lot of people don't have much of a choice. A lot of people trying to leave. Cryptocurrencies are giving their use case, but we cannot deny the buy the invasion news. I mean, it's been going on, and let's be honest, cryptocurrencies have been following stocks. They're considered high risk, and that's what's been going on.
Yeah, I will say this, and Nicu, I kind of want to get your take on that Tether situation, but I will say this. One of the bullish narratives of this is quantitative tightening is probably off the table. So that is one of the major reasons we are seeing a pump. Now, Nicu, I saw a little bit, I did the morning stream today, and I wasn't exactly sure if there was a premium on the Tether or if it's just volatility with the UA currency. Now, any insight on that? What is going on with that Ukrainian currency?
Well, first of all, it's good to be here. And then regarding the Tether, I have to admit that I wouldn't know. And why wouldn't I know? First of all, if I myself were to buy Tether right here in Ukraine, where would I buy it? I would buy it on the exchanges that I've always bought it. So I don't know where I would go and get those tethers at a premium. Now, obviously, there may be some local exchanges that are selling everything, doesn't matter what it is, they will sell it at a higher price. So from my point of view, I don't really think it's the tether. Now, why? Obviously, has the currency, the Ukrainian currency, lost value? One second. It's very clear, because I mean, we're seeing war, right? So obviously the currency is gonna fall. But now, for example, in my case, I have my money in crypto, right? And then I convert them to US dollar or euro, and I get a lot more of the local currency. But I either just haven't had time to check on it, but I wouldn't know where would I get the more expensive nor the more cheaper tether.
Yeah, it does appear to be mostly just the local exchanges there. But let's get into our topics here. We're going to talk about a little AI language translator. That's right, the future is here. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it is Mark Zuckerberg's Meta that is going to be using this technology. They built like a new AI algorithm that will kind of detect languages that previously have been hard to understand, including I believe it was the Ugandan language is what they use for a reference there. But it's going to be bridging the gap between languages. So when you interact with someone in a metaverse, there's just an instant translation that is happening, and then the person isn't hearing, kind of two voices at once. They're just hearing what it is in your respective language setting, whatever you may have it at. Now, let's see. I want to bring it to you, Stache. You haven't jumped in yet here. With Ready Player One, and we've seen it in like a Star Trek or Star Wars, we do see these like little translation things. You kind of put it in your ear and everybody's kind of communicating, even though, maybe from worlds apart, universes apart even. Maybe they're from Pluto, maybe they're from the Alliance. But how far away are we till we see this implemented in some sort of metaverse where, yeah, you're talking into your Discord mic or, settings, and then it's just translating for you? When are we going to see broad adoption? Do you think this is like a 10-year thing, 20-year thing, maybe a couple years?
I mean, honestly, I could see this being realized a lot sooner than a Ready Player One style metaverse. I think it's a more realistic goal for Facebook Meta as a company. They may be moving towards the metaverse, and they say this is one of those stepping stones. And I think that it's a better direction for them than just to throw out there to people like, we're going for the metaverse. It seems crazy to a lot of people. Like, what? Why would you pivot and do all this crazy stuff and try and go? That doesn't make any sense. But something like this, like laying out a pathway and saying, well, here's where we eventually want to get, but there are stepping stones we got to hit before we get to that eventual realization. And I think having a universal translator like this is a massive product, man. It could be so much more than just like, oh, it's great, we're in the metaverse so we can be translated. Like, I mean, think about how much that can help people in everyday life, not just in the metaverse. I mean, yeah, sure, while we're doing digital stuff, but I mean, that's technology that can be used in every application all across the globe.
Yeah, so, huge for tourism, for sure.
Yeah. There's so much that is packed in there. So, I mean, I think that this is actually a really good direction that I feel like they're kind of like a little bit pivoting, backtracking and say, okay, well, really, we're going to build some of these really cool tools first. And so I do think that, with the current technology we're at right now, we could see this easily in the next 5 years. I really do. I think that we're at a point where it's fairly good enough, and 5 years of development, maybe a little bit more. I think we definitely could see that technology coming.
All right. Well, it is very exciting technology. It's also a little bit scary. Now, Rice, we're talking about Meta, formerly known as Facebook, and we're talking about them listening to us to translate our conversations. Now, a lot of people, mostly unverified, saying, oh, the Facebook app definitely listening to you. I talked about, some random spaghetti recipe. The next thing you know, I'm seeing, Raoul's tomato sauce coupons on my, feed here. So, there's definitely allegations of, spying, essentially spying on their users. Do you think that, a lot of people are going to be kind of making these same comparisons once this tech is live, and maybe even like keep people away from entering in their metaverse because of those privacy concerns?
I don't think so, not at all. Because I mean, people are still utilizing Facebook, and we haven't seen Facebook Meta lose really a lot of its traction as far as its user base. They did lose a lot in the stock markets when it comes to their shares, but that's a completely different story. Now, what I really think is interesting, and I agree completely with Stache, because when I was reading this article, I'm thinking, why would this be specifically for a metaverse situation? Because this is something that could be applicable in a lot of different areas, especially when you just have just this communication barrier because of different languages. So I could definitely see a tech like this coming to fruition. Now, from a conspiracy perspective, what's really interesting is the name that they're choosing to use for this, the Babelfish, because the word Babel means confusion. It means to confuse, and it comes from the Tower of Babel. And previous to the Tower of Babel, per the Bible, it says that everyone spoke one language. It was the Tower of Babel that, when they followed that the language confusion came amongst people, and there were different languages created. So I find it really interesting, kind of, because there's a lot of conspiracy talk going on about Mark Zuckerberg, about the metaverse, about their direction. And it's not only like your Facebook application that's listening to you, it's every single smart device that you have in your home. It's everything that you have, even as far as like LED lights. So our privacy is very much diminishing. And these are things that we need to be paying attention to. And the fact that nobody is really raising a lot of alarm bells about this, to me, just people are going to go along with the flow, and they're not. It seems to be a push for no privacy.
Okay, just let me jump in real quick too with this, because we're giving it to them. When we say, they're spying on us, they're spying. No, we said it was okay. We literally pushed the button and said, yeah, we're cool with that. And we do it not only on Facebook, but other devices like Amazon Echoes and, Alexas. I won't have one of those damn devices in my house, man. They're always listening to you.
Terms
and that's
and
what I'm saying. You're
conditions,
giving them permission.
Terms and conditions too, Stache. That's another thing too, because people don't read the terms and conditions. They don't realize when you're using something like Facebook and it's free, and there's no product for you to buy, you become the product. And data is one of the most valuable. Data is probably the most valuable resource that we have on this planet at this time.
Yeah, I definitely echo those sentiments for sure.
Quick note too. On why they call it the Babelfish. I don't know if you guys know this, but like a little bit of nerd alert here. That's actually the fish that does the translation from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So you stick in your ear, it's like a little thing, and then you hear everything. So they literally just stole it from that book. And
okay, well that's cool. I remember the story and I like it, but I didn't connect it to.
Shout out to Mos Def. He did good in that movie. Now we're talking about data being very valuable. Now Nicu, they have to collect tons and tons of data for this algorithm to really, really work. And there's that TOS right now. I will say this. People complain about the TOS. I always say, look, if you have an Apple phone or an Android phone, you might as well just stop talking. Unless you're mind your biz and you're like breaking it apart and pulling out. And
right. You can get a Linux OS or something like that.
You can go crazy with it. But yeah, if you're just using a normal Android or Apple phone, you've already given that up. But Nicu, they have to collect tons and tons of data. They're collecting, they're listening to your conversations. They're listening to everything you're saying. They collect all this. They sell this to other companies. Do you think it should be, basically the law where they have to disclose what they do with that data? Or do you say, it's a private company and they can do what they want?
No, I think it's a little bit of a different point of view, at least the way I see it. First of all, I want to say, just jumping back to Meta or Facebook, and I have to say, I think that Mark Zuckerberg is absolutely despicable. Now, that's one thing. And I think that before he's going to move on and talking about other things, Meta, Babelfish, and all those great things he's going to do to help society, he's not real. He's not real. The first thing he should focus on...
data from Star Trek.
The first thing he should focus on is providing or making...
That was already ready. I love it.
The things that he's already used, like Facebook and like the other things that they own, make them great again, right? When Facebook just came out, I don't know how many years ago, I used to love it. I used to follow it. And then, I hardly don't even use it. So I just feel like concentrate on your core product, make sure that is great. And I think he's losing himself. So that's one thing. The second thing about this privacy and that companies are earning on it. Well, if we have to actually subdivide it into each individual, right? There's also other models where, your data is private and you should earn on it. But in the reality, we also know that what would one individual really be able to earn on the data that he's providing, and that the companies, and why does Google, Facebook, and Twitter and all of them earn so much money? It's because they gather it, right? There are, I don't know, millions, 100 millions, billions of people where they then gather this data. So on the other hand, you could also say that I mean, I don't, when I talk on Facebook and so, I don't really say anything that is so, you know, I don't do anything illegal. And on the other hand, I do feel, now I don't like Facebook, but there are many other apps that I do like where I think, yeah, you know what? They're providing a good service. Why not? I think it's fair.
All right. Well, let's get to this next topic here. We kind of got to move through. Let's talk a little Axie Infinity, the biggest game of last year when it comes to the blockchain. 1.3 billion in revenue, daily peak of 17.5 million, over almost 3 million unique addresses, 2.8 million of them holding about 11 million Axies. 97% of the wallets hold 3. You need 3 to play. So it seems like a lot of these people are actually, you know, playing the game. And they have the suite of the SPL potion, I thought it was SLP, and the AXS tokens trading way, way below their all-time highs, way down about 70%. The peaking, I believe, was August of last year. So, I mean, at this point, we're looking, you know, like about 6 months past its peak. It's on the downtrend. Now, Factor, I want to ask you this. You know, it was the hottest thing half a year ago. We were all talking about, we're all like, oh my God, it pumped again. It did another 100%. It did another 100%. But in the 6 months, it's just been on the downtrend. We haven't seen any other, you know, game really step up to take its place. Do you think that this was, you know, was the gaming sector? Was that just a little overbought, right timing, you know? Or is there going to be another Axie Infinity? You know, we're just kind of waiting for that next killer dApp.
Great question, DZ. First of all, the gaming industry within cryptocurrency, all these play to earn games, they're going to pivot. They're going to pivot to play and earn. So play to earn is going to become play and earn. Now, this might sound like it's the same thing. What is the difference, though? One is you're playing the game so you can earn tokens, so you can earn. It's like a job. Play and earn is actually being able to play a game without even caring about the money, without even caring about the rewards. So they're going to need to pivot so they can stay relevant, because prices are going to keep on going up. People are not going to be able to get in. This is already being introduced by large gaming companies like Gunzilla, if you've ever heard of it, which are also entering the space. So they're going with this model, and a lot of other games or gaming companies, crypto gaming companies, are going to have to follow suit. So that's one thing. And yeah, things pivot and change all the time. Don't forget, we're early. This is a new thing, and you need to micromanage to become successful. You need to sort of like, it's going to take many small changes as you're trend stacking, because this is all trend stacking, right? You're stacking trends. That's how things get successful. But you make small changes until you find the golden key, for lack of better terms. I just made that up, by the way.
Yeah, I like that. Stacking trends, you get that nice ratio of, yeah, we're all about play to earn, but we're also about decentralization, but we're all about a metaverse. You see it all the time in NFTs as well.
Well, DZ, trend stacking is actually a thing. I mean, Instagram is a product of trend stacking, right? You take two things that are trending, and you add your own element on top. That's the thing.
Or you see a Snapchat, you know, video feature trending, you go ahead, you just replicate it, you copy it. Now, I want to ask you, now, Stache, you may be in a better position than any other human being in the entire world. Hit that like button if you want this alpha that we're about to give everybody here. 7 billion people. No one may know better than you. And I'm actually, you know, pretty serious here. What do you think has the best chance of owning Axie as being, you know, the top game of 2022?
That's a hard question, man. You know, I will say that
it's the $1 billion question, really.
It's a $1 billion question. Yeah, I mean, I do think that, you know, when it comes to Axie Infinity, you know, it pioneered a model that, you know, has some elements that work in it, but also elements that don't work in it. And I think that's a really big reason why we saw it have such a big run up last year, and then, you know, kind of bleed out here with the rest of everything else. Let's be honest. It's not just one product that is down. It's every project across the board when it comes to crypto gaming. But they've taken a big hit. And, you know, a lot of that really does have to do with the fact that their economy was not very scalable. Now, when you look at that in comparison to what we're seeing with some of the games that have really taken, you know, these steps from Axie and then try to improve them, like what Crypto Factor kind of trend stacking and understanding, like, oh, well, here's what we've seen work. Now, what doesn't work? You know, what can we, you know, take from that and then stick on top of that? I think games like Splinterlands really has a great feature set that has been one of the most played games. If you go look at actual numbers on DApp Radar, they have more daily active users than Axie Infinity does have right now. I mean, that because it's a smaller dollar game, but the earning potential there is big, man. When you talk about untapped earning potential, so out of everything, I really think Splinterlands is a sleeper, man. We're not seeing as many people get on board with it, but it has all of the elements that Axie Infinity has and more. It just doesn't have the one thing they don't have is that manager scholar kind of situation, because they made it approachable. They made it
understands, like there are some sleeping giants in the gaming realm. Was it Alien Worlds with Wax? No one knows about it. Splinterlands, no one knows about it. Bomb Crypto and Binance Smart Chain, no one knows about it. Yet they're leading their respective chains. No one knows about it. And meanwhile, people are out there, they're making sandwiches with this money for sure.
Right. It just doesn't get talked about as much. Axie has been kind of this focal point, and it's easy for people who don't know shit about gaming and crypto to just be like, oh, Axie Infinity. Oh, Axie, because it's just like, talking about all the trending coins. You don't have to really know much about it. It's just, it's trending. People know it's hot. You don't have to go. You can only go service level and still
so hot
seem
right
competent
now
in what you're talking about.
So hot right now. Now, Nicu, last week you were on. You said, the average citizen where you live really doesn't make, that much money. I was surprised it was as low as it was. What was that number you gave? I think it was maybe even 300, 500 a month.
Yeah, like $200 to $300 is the average income in Ukraine. I mean,
all right.
a fact.
That being said, this play to earn, to many people from a higher income country, it's just kind of a fun hobby. But where you live, are you seeing more and more of the younger generation kind of moving this as a viable means of income versus flipping a burger?
Well, I certainly do. I think that also Ukraine is very much ahead of the curve compared to other countries across the globe in terms of embracing technology and especially programming, and obviously everything that comes related to the blockchain. So that goes without saying. I mean, that is, how much more worth is $1 here than it is anywhere in the world. So obviously it is. Now, I would say that maybe but there's a global factor problem, that the global mass awareness is maybe not expanding as quick as we would wish. And that's also my little 2 cents on on the Axie Infinity dollar is. Axie Infinity is great. It's good. A lot of media hype. But the problem is, I think, is that we have seen many more other NFT games come out, much more in terms of amounts compared to the increase that we have seen in global mass adoption. So it seems to me that we're having more offer than demand, so to speak, and that's why I think that it will take time until we get the majority of people on the track, also really to identify which games will be the ones or the future market leaders. Now, I don't know shit about gaming, but but if we look at those, some of these biggest games that kids play, I even forgot the name, but some, from my point of view, nonsense games that nobody probably would know that will be the leaders of tomorrow. So I think we need to wait for mass adoption. I think we got a lot of games currently and upcoming compared to the amount of people participating.
All right, Rice, this is just a simple question here. With these play to earn games, they basically pay you in a token, and you'll oftentimes need to use that token to play the game. So the buying pressure comes from new players. The selling pressure comes from people playing the game. As long as you have player growth, token can go up. Eventually, you hit that saturation point where player growth either slows, stalls, or starts to decline. Then it's just kind of a race to the bottom every time with this token. Will that just always be the case? Will it always be basically you got to just jump ship every 3 to 6 months with these games? Or do you see, eventually maybe they slow down the payment, slow down the ROI? Will anyone ever figure it out?
Yeah, I think there will definitely be some solutions, and the latter options you were mentioning, I think, are definitely more of the directions I could see people taking. Even possibly like a stable coin, a coin that's pegged to a certain price or something to that effect, because it does get very limiting when the price of the coin goes up, and then it makes the entry level for someone to be able to play these games a lot more expensive and the threshold harder to get through. especially, and really, I agree with what everybody has said. And I will definitely say that depending on the location and their knowledge of blockchain gaming and play to earn, these incomes can definitely be life changing. I remember hearing situations where children were earning more than their parents. So these opportunities, I think, are definitely going to continue, and I definitely figure that they will find models that are more beneficial, because the model that you basically explained is like a multi-level marketing model, and I don't want to think of the gaming sector as such, because esports and the gaming sector industries I see as being huge. I see as still continuing to grow, and the play to earn factor and having blockchain and cryptocurrencies involved is just a win-win for everybody. And I would agree with Stache when it comes to competitors for Axie as far as Splinterlands. And I think there's going to be a lot more attention coming to Splinterlands. They recently just did a deal with Warner Music Group and just put out a card based on Waka Flocka Flame. So you're seeing a lot of hip hop collaborations with the cryptocurrency space. That sold out. They've got their Chaos Legion that just got released, their new series of cards. So I really see a good, bright future for games like Splinterlands. I'm a big fan of Splinterlands myself. And I think play to earn and GameFi is just beginning.
All right. Well, let's do this last topic. I might kind of make it kind of a lightning round topic here, because kind of want to get your take on this just kind of fundamental question that always comes up. And we have the article here: $40 million mansion. We're talking bowling lanes, spa, 70 rooms, is going to come with its own metaverse replica. So they're still built, they haven't even started construction of it. And essentially, you get this insane mansion. You get the IRL mansion, but then they give you the digital asset. It might be able to be used in Decentraland, might be able to be used in Sandbox. But essentially, I think we can all agree that the value is the mansion. I mean, yeah, it's cool to have a mansion next to Snoop Dogg in the metaverse, but I'll take I'll take a 70-room mansion IRL over any digital land. I don't care how many plots you give me here. Now, just a simple question. I'm gonna ask everybody the same thing. I'm gonna start here with Cryptostache. In the future, I'm not saying today, but in the future, will this actually be a good utility with the blueprints, or is it forever just going to be a marketing gimmick? You say marketing gimmick or actual utility? What do you say, Stache?
Marketing gimmick, man. There's so much more possibilities in the metaverse for what you could build beside what we can build here in IRL, man. So
all right. Factor, asking you the same question. Rice and Nico, I'm asking you a different one. Factor, it's good utility or marketing gimmick?
Utility. You want to buy it, you want to sell it, somebody can come in, walk around across the world without having to travel over there so they can see the actual mansion. So if you're a realtor or whatever, you can actually use it to sell.
Now, Rice, I want to ask you, this is slightly different here. Is this a security concern because you're giving people your blueprints? Or is it, if you do enough digging, you can go to the city hall and get the record? So security concern or no? What would you say?
Yeah, definitely a security concern. But yeah, like you said, if somebody really does the research, they can find this information on their own. But having something like this would make the research and the work a lot easier for somebody, because you would just have a complete layout of somebody's home. Yeah. Now, you don't know specifically what's in the home. So
yeah, I've seen enough Oceans movies. You don't want to make it easier for them to make the replica, then they're dropping from the ceiling. All right, Nicu, would you say this is a security concern or just a nothing burger?
I gotta be honest. I mean, I've been awake for a long time, and this crisis and war is taking the best of me, and I'm not really on top of this, this theme that I would actually be able to give a good answer.
Would you feel any apprehension about sharing your blueprints of your home so you can use it in a metaverse?
Yeah, I wouldn't like it. But I'm a private individual, but it also depends, right? I mean, again, there's two different kinds of individuals or people, right? They're the braggers and they're the non-braggers. I would know about my private life. I wouldn't want many people to know anything. But then when it's all about bragging and it's all about, being, it's about money and this kind of world, well, then of course you want to make it the biggest possible. But just think about it. If we want to go into mass adoption and you got a little shithole, right? Then who wants to really share that?
Well, I mean, you're coming from the hollow deck, so now it's all starting to make sense. It's like broken doors behind them, stains on the wall,
Watch out for them iron doors.
You got wallpaper
So
peeling.
Based on what I said, I'm gonna let you choose if it's more of a nothing burger or a security
You know what? For
issue.
me, probably nothing. But if I had a 70-room mansion, that's when you're gonna have people who will try to like.
But
break
how
in.
many have a
So,
70-room mansion, right?
Yeah. So for that 0.1%,
I got 3.
probably a huge concern.
I got
What's the
5 on it.
difference? What's the difference? Like you have a 70-room mansion. You have
I
security.
think it's
you have
more
people,
likely
you
they
have dogs.
break in their house over me. What are they
Man,
going
I
to steal
can't
from
afford
me?
security after buying that
They're going
house.
to steal my 4 chain link. That's all I got. All right. Well, that's all we got time for today. We're actually going
Give
to
me the JPEGs.
hear Nicu. It looks like you won. Live for our correspondent from Ukraine. Go ahead, leave us with some parting thoughts, man.
I am honored. I am so honored. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But let me tell you one thing. There is no one that's better than I am. I am the best YouTube crypto channel there ever has been, and most likely there ever will be. I tell you when I sell, I tell you when I buy, and no one has a track record as I have been able to deliver. My name is Nicu, and please come and join me at Crypto Never Sleeps. And thank you so much for having me
Number
here.
1.
Yeah, and guests like that makes this show the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
will be.
And you have a good weekend, BitSquad. DZ out.